This is a brand new React project. Before we start, I should mention some things to you. I have cleaned up this project a bit. We don't have an app CSS, we only have index CSS, and I have also cleaned it up. I've just left enter, and then I will do letter spacing. I will do 1.2, and then I've also imported this font family from Google Fonts. I have also installed Tailwind and initialized it, and I also need to set up Tailwind so it works. So I'm going to say add Tailwind, I'm going to say base, components, and utilities. So this should make sure that Tailwind is working. I'm going to do div.bgred 500, try see. So yes, this works just fine. Now what I will do is margin 0. This should fix things. Let's go to the design that we're going to work with. We have a card here, a very simple card. Out of it we have a simple title that says measurements, and then we have all signs, then we have this arrow here, then we have a couple cards here. Each card will have its own data, and each card will have its own color. So this one will not have a BG of red 500. So it will have a shadow of 2 extra large, so the shadow is visible. Now what I will do is try to keep things organized. So I'm gonna say here components, measurements, /index.tsx. So I've got measurements inside of it and index.tsx. This will make a component. So we've got React functional component, and we're gonna say measurements, and then we're gonna just say this just for the sake of testing. I'm gonna say this, optimize imports here. Let's remove the index.css. What I'm gonna do here is measurements like this. So for our first objects. So this one is gonna have like flex, items center, and then it's gonna be height of screen, and it's gonna be justify center. So this will put measurements. Let's put an H1 here, and let's put inside of it measurements, and then let's give this one a class name. So let's start styling our div. So let's say shadow of 2 extra L, 2 extra large, 2 extra large, like this, and let's make it rounded large, yes, and let's give it a padding of 5. Let's see, so this is an H1, make it an H3, so it's an H3 here. So let's see, so how are we gonna design this one's layout? So we're gonna have a very simple layout, which is, this first one's gonna be a simple container with a flex design. These three are gonna obviously be one below another, so a normal block design. So I'm gonna say here, I'm gonna say a span, and I'm gonna put measurement here, then I'm gonna put a button. Now for a button I need to install and design. So add a button here, and then let's add inside of it all signs, and then I think I also need the React icons package for the icons. So in this scope we're just gonna use this one, but maybe later on I'm gonna use other icons. So I'm gonna install the package as well. Let's leave it all signs for now, and then let's not save until the package is installed. Then we're gonna say here, we're gonna say class name, we're gonna say flex, we're gonna say item center, and then we're gonna say for this button to have a class name, it's gonna be grow. So let's make sure measurements grow. Class name grow. So the measurement will grow to take up more space. Now for the other buttons, let's just put a div here, and then let's get some data and map that data into cards. Now then, let's get the data. So we're going to create a new file in the src folder. Let's name it data.ts, and in here I'm going to get some data. So we'll have our interface, which is vital. Let's say import the button and see what we have. So this is cool. Let's start the server again, and yeah, all signs, and then I'm going to start the server again. Yarn add React icons. Sorry, add React icons. And the data, so we've got our interface here, which has value, title, last span, and then we've got our data here. So we've got 3 cards. First one has blood pressure, the second one is blood oxygen, third one is steps count. So we're gonna do like, I'm gonna map every vital into divider. So div, of course it's gonna end, and then let's not forget the key. Always add the key when you use map. Now this, so what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna say H3, and then I'm gonna say inside of it, I'm gonna say vital.title. So you got blood pressure, and we've got a paragraph which will say v dot last, and then let's say, so we have last, and then we have current, and then we've got our last, and we got span. Then I'm gonna save, wait for the React icons to install. So let's think for a minute about the layouts that we'll use here. So we're gonna try to use here a yes. So every card will use a grid system. So this is how the grid will look like. It's gonna be like this. Okay, yeah, it's not gonna be like that. So it's gonna be this way. To make it a bit advanced, we've got this one as well. And then we've got, yeah, so this is it. Now there's gonna be two columns. One is one with automatic width, the other spans the rest of the width. And the columns, they're just gonna be automatic. So I won't even bother with that. So same goes for all these three. Let's continue. Don't save. Continuing on, yarn run dev, install server, so we see what we have, and so we got all signs, and the icon here I think is so iOS arrow forward. So import it and do this, save. What will happen here? Yeah, so we've got our data. So for the button, I think the button looks pretty good. I just need to say type link. Okay, good. Now let's leave it like that for now. So let's say W here. Let's make it 30 rem. Make this one big. Yes, this is very good. Now every div, the style of the div is gonna have a border of 2 pixels. Let's keep it 2, yeah. So let's say rounded, 2 extra large, and then we're gonna say border. So let's say violet for now, 500, 400 or something. And then let's say border solid. That is cool. Now for this guy, let's make it a flex row column. That's for the sake of the gap of 2. Okay, gap of 5. This makes it good. Now for this girl, let's give it padding of 2. Okay, now let's make it padding of 5. This looks good. And okay, so let's make things a bit better. So we've got this guy. The border is gonna be not 2. Let's make it 4. Yes, that's it. And then make it 500 to make it look a bit more professional. Let's change the system into grid system. So let's say grid columns. So we've got how many? We've got automatic, then we've got 1 fragment. This should make things better. Now the title, we'll have class name. So let's say call span equals span 2. We've got our, it's like this. So let's say class name, column 2 to 3. So column 2 to 3. Row. Okay, row 1 to 2. Okay, then change your plans. Let's do div. Let's put inside of it these two guys. And then let's say class name. So let's say call span 2. So it spans 2. And then let's say flex. And let's give this one a growth thing. So this should work now. Now let's say item center. Yeah, that makes things better. Now this one's size. Make it 23. Sorry. 23 makes it better. Let's do something that's cool. Let's do this. Let's show the grid system and see what's happening. So we've got this blood pressure. I think this girl has a lot of margins. If I do M0, makes it a lot better. Now M2, blood pressure 2, seems good. Now I think, so yes, perflight is when we turn perflight off, which actually resets all these guys. So the paragraph, the divider, any text you put will be the same. Yeah, will be the same font size. Okay, so I'm gonna say margin of 0. It does look a bit better. Although I think I'm going to go with perflight off. We should make things much better. So I can just use here like so text extra large to make things better. Text 3 extra large. Then I'm gonna say 2 extra large, and then I'm gonna go for this guy, and I'm gonna go text 4 extra large. Yeah, 2 extra large. Yes. And I'm gonna go give this one margin button of 5. See how things are getting better now. Now I'm gonna say font bold. As for the font family, if I say pixel, yeah, so that's what we needed. We needed to put pixel in front of it. Now then, let's continue on. So the texts feel much more professional. Continuing on, let's so we've got the last, which is supposed to be there, so we're not gonna touch it. And we've got the current, which is this guy. So text, yeah, for large is perfect. So font bold, and then let's say text violet. For now, let's say violet 500. Yes, I think I still need to make it 3x. Now for the positioning. So I'm gonna say the column gonna be 1 to 2, obviously. It goes down. Yes, for the last one, it's gonna be the same thing. So 1 to 2. So this will align everything in their places. Now for the final element, which is the hardest part of this tutorial here. So we're gonna name it a pressure graph. Do this, something like this. We're gonna get this back again. Now inside components, make this bigger a little bit. So inside component measurements, let's add another component, and let's say pressure graph tsx. So the reason I put components inside measurements is that these components belong to the measurements, and we're not going to use them anywhere outside the measurement. So let's say React functional component, pressure graph, save, optimize imports. Let's do pressure graph and save. Now we've got our pressure graph ready. Now for our pressure graph, we're going to need some more data. So going back to the data and I'm going to do this. So we've got our vitals range. So this is just an array that starts from 0 ends at 9. So we're going to use it for these numbers and for laying out this graph here. And again, we've got the days range. So we've got these days. We're going to use in here this image. Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's Sunday, Monday, something. And then we've got the days coefficient. So for this is the coefficient, this is how much space we put here. So this one's gonna be of width of 100, and the space that we're gonna be putting here is 100 by 6.5. Since we have 7 days, we're gonna if we say 7, this Saturday is gonna end halfway here. So we're gonna say 6.5. So this one will get all the way to the end. Okay, so we got these ready. Now let's get into some SVG. Now, going to SVG. So the SVG is going to have a view box of 0, 0, and for the width it's going to be 100. For the height it's just going to be 20. The height of this element is going to be 100 pixels. The width is going to be 100%. I'm going to do something like this, make things simpler, do this. Now, what we're going to have here is, just for the example's sake, we're going to have a path. So stroke width of 2, obviously. And then we're going to have a class name of stroke, let's make it violet 500. Stroke violet 500. And then no fill, so that we don't see a black background. And then we've got our data. So let's try it with this data, see what happens. So yes, we've got a pretty decent data here. Now we don't need this one. This is our data. This is how it does look. And then going back here, we have done. Let's go to the grid system. Where's the grid system? So here's the grid system. So I'm gonna say gap of y of I think 5. Okay, gap x 5. Gap, sorry. Okay, gap. If I say 5 like this, it's not gonna work. So the reason I'm putting this one here is just to put some space here. Now then, for the width to this one, if I make it 25, it does not. Let's drop this one inside a div. Yes, and then let's say class name. So let's say column of 2 to 3. Say 2 to 3 like this. Yes, and then row, I think 5 to 6. Yeah, 4 to 5. This is it. Now this one. So what we need to do is wrap these two inside a span or something. Let's do this, and then let's see class name, and then let's say column 1 to 2, and make it self end so it goes to the bottom. So self end like this. So this girl's row is gonna be 3 to 4. Yes, that is it. Now then, let's deal with the width. This girl says if I make it 20 rem. So this thing here is what's messing things up. Just make it 25. Okay, 30. This is good. Now we've got our graph ready again. Let's go back to the pressure graph. Now I'm going to import a very simple function that converts an array of numbers. So this is value. So it's going to convert an array of numbers, which are the values for this graph. So it's going to be at this point 7. This point is going to be 0 or something. This function here we will give it a value. So the value will be an example of like 10 values like this. So it's going to be 7, 1. So we've got 10 values here. We're going to give these values to this get path data, and it will give us the data for a path that is actually valid. So let's try this. Let's say get path. So it's just simple math really, just values like this. So let's try it out. Let's save it, and you can see this. So there's a value of 7. There's a value of 1. You see that it goes down here. Then it goes up to 6, then it goes down to 3, then it goes to 7. So if we say, like, the first one is 0, you'd see that the bar will drop. For this data, we're going to have two paths here. So we're going to have one that is filled with gray 200. So gray of 200. And one that is this one, like this. So you're going to see this guy. But then, when we hover over to this, this div, you're gonna see the second one go like this. So we're gonna say, I'm gonna uncomment this guy out. So, and then for this data to not be calculated twice, let's say data. And then let's put it in a use memo. So get path data not this way. I'm gonna get the value. So the value is gonna be given. So we're gonna say value here. And what we're gonna need in the pressure graph, we're gonna need two things. We're gonna need the value, we're gonna need the color. So we got the value, which is a number, and a color, which is a string. So we got data, and then we're gonna say here as well, data. So now we need to provide the data here. So the data we're gonna provide here is, so now we can do the b.type, see if the type equals steps, if it's, okay, yeah, if it's steps, so we're gonna, if it's steps, we're gonna do a pressure graph with the value. So we're gonna say value of b.value, and then the color. So the color is gonna be b.color. And then I'm gonna close this one up. then I'm gonna save. Now, what we've got here, this way. So we essentially got this one. So the value here is nothing. It's just some values that are coming from here. So I'm gonna change this to 1.6. I'm gonna change this one to 1.9. Change this one to 1. So let's just make them a bit different, like this. Yes. And this one, let's make it 3.9. What we want to do here is offset this guy by 200 pixels. So let's do this. So let's name him the animated path, and then save, and then get back to this grid. By the way, this grid, this parent grid here, so it has a shadow, and the shadow is gonna be color somehow. So I'm gonna say violet 500 for now. So let's say shadow 3x, okay, 2x path, 2x large, and let's make this guy 100. Okay, 200. Yes, but these will happen only on hover. So let's say this. It's going to hover over it. It happens like this. So what I'm going to do here is transition all. Transition 0.3s. So the duration is going to be very quick. Let's refresh the page. So duration, let's make it 300 milliseconds. I think 300 milliseconds will make it a bit, transitional. Now then, so this happened. This is very good. Now the border will also work only when we have this. So yeah, already looking pretty good. Now then, we've got these guys. So let's deal with the animation here. So we're gonna name this one the okay, so let's name it a card. So let's name it measurements card. So name it measurement card just for the sake of, naming it. So I'm gonna say measurement card. Now I'm gonna use a new CSS syntax. So it's gonna be dot animated graph. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say stroke dash set. I'm gonna say to 200 stroke array stroke dash array. So I'm gonna say 200 200. Let's save it. So I don't think animated graph is what we've called it. We've called it animated path instead. So animated path, save, and then we've got our offset to 200. So on hover, so I'm gonna say hover. So by the way, if this is unfamiliar to you, if you think I'm using here SAS or CSS, I'm not. This is new CSS. So the new CSS allows you to nest your rules. So on hover, I say animated path, stroke dash offset. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna put this one here. So not 1 second. Let's just keep 1 second and see what happens. So you see this? So essentially, what is happening here is just something very simple. So we're just offsetting this guy by 200. We do this, it's offsetted by 200. Yeah. So going back to the pressure graph, now we need to map each value, essentially not value, but in the data here, we're gonna map this vitals range. Each element is gonna have to be a text element, and it's gonna contain this one. So you see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8. We need to do these, and on hover, so they look like this. When you hover over them, they become like this. So I'm gonna try to do like, is there a group thing in SVG? Group G something? Yeah, there's a G. Very good. I'll say class name. Say capacity. Okay, let's say 50. And then what I'm gonna do is show value map. And then what I'm gonna do here is simple text. And then the content of it is gonna be the I. And close it again. Yes, so we've got our texts here. And what we're gonna need to do, not this, not the body, though. See, I think it's a range or something. Yeah, vitals range. So this is a range of the vitals. So I'm gonna say just simple E. I'm gonna import this guy here. And then for the properties, what I'm going to do is always use the key. Now for the X, it's gonna be, so its position is gonna be just the I times 10. So I'm not gonna go 1, 2, 3 for the position, I'm gonna go 10, 20, 30. And then for the Y, I think, yeah, for the Y, I'm gonna go, so 29. 29 is at the end of the, at the end of the SVG viewport. So let's give it a class name, of course. So let's see text. So 5 pixels, need it very small. And we need font bold. We need, okay. So let's call it the hover text. Okay, let's call it the graph text. Okay, let's not call it the graph text. So let's call this one graph text. And let's get back here, and then I'm gonna say graph text. I'm gonna say opacity of 0.5. And then when we hover over this guy here, what's gonna happen is that this one is gonna get one. And it's gonna get a transition of opacity 0.3 seconds. This happened. Yes, it works fine. Now for the coming back here, the Y gonna be 28. Yes, so 28 looks perfect. Now then, for the color of this guy, now we're gonna use this color property here. So instead of violets, I'm gonna use a different color. So let's do this. And then instead of violets, I'm gonna use color. Same goes for the so one's gonna stay black and the other one, so I'm gonna say plus if I try to do 0, so I'm gonna say gray, say text color like this, and I'm gonna do this. Now the colors are gonna look, okay, I'm gonna put a space here, so not text, but I'm gonna say fill, and then I'm gonna say fill gray 400, with some space here, so yes, and then going back to the pressure graph, so I got the beta value, and then we gotta go back to the tailwind. So since Tailwind can't tell that this is a color, and so it doesn't know which ones to load. So we're gonna have to configure Tailwind here. So I got this already configured here, so you don't have to. So what we're saying here essentially is that text, fill, background, shadow, border, stroke, all the colors that start from 0 to 900, 1 to 900, whether we have hover, focus, and all the elements inside. These are the safest, or in other ways, they will be loaded, false loaded into the Tailwind. So these classes are always going to be loaded. So let's move these spaces, put them here instead, save, see. So we've got a pretty solid design here. What we need to do is apply the color to this text here. So v.current text not going to be violet. It's going to be the color. v.color. Let's see v. So we're going to cut these guys. Do this, this, and then do this. Save. And things should be hopefully good. Yeah. We're good to go. So we also need to color the underline text. So we can do this. Last name. This way. No, I don't need font bold and text. Need this. So the color of this will also change by the. We've got this, and then we also need to set the this. Then you've got violets. Let's say this color. Yeah, I need that color. It's just shadow violet as well. So essentially, wherever there is a violet color, I'm gonna change it. So this one will be red now, not this way. Yes. So congratulations. I guess you just created a very cool looking cards design. Now for this measurement, I think it's gotta be bold. So font bold, and all signs here. I think it's gonna have a class name, font bold, and then I'm gonna go text LG, same. Yeah, looks very good. So clicking it doesn't do anything per se, but so it looks pretty close to the design that we had in mind. Now then, let's move to the final part, which is this one. So we're gonna say steps. Let's do something like this. So we got a paragraph, say steps. Do this. What will happen? Yes. So only when the v.type was possible. Step and do this. Save these guys. I think they should be spans. So this span won't act as a block element, I think. Yes, I thought so. So this guy's gonna be a page, so it breaks, but the other one won't break. This is it, yes. So add some space here. Let's name it into, so let's say text b.color as usual 500. Yeah, yes. So we got like perfection level. Now, if the type is not bars, if the type is steps, so I'm doing it like this just in case we have more than just one type. So I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna create another one. Let's name it steps graph.tsx. Create a functional component. So let's try to do. I think it's gonna be very similar to this one. So it's gonna be something like this, and then I'm gonna do this. Save, optimize imports, and then steps graph. Now for the steps graph, I think it's gonna need the same thing. So let's save values number, I call it string, let's do this, save. Now what I will do is now I'm gonna start with these guys instead of the other guys. So I'm gonna start with these. So it's a graph text, just as the other one, but it's not vital range. I think it's days. Yes. But now I'm not gonna time by 10. I'm gonna say days coefficient. Yes, and then days range. So you got so you got the day, and then we got the. So I'm gonna say day. So this is the day. Let's name it day. Okay, it's no problem. And then so everything's gonna be the same. Yes, everything's the same. So this appeared. So the reason why I didn't make this one 10, so let's make it 10 and see what will happen. It will not fill the whole thing. So 10 is meant for 10 elements, but the days coefficient is meant for 7 elements. So it will fill when I have 7 elements. And then when I hover, it works just fine. So I do this, this. So it works just fine when I hover over it. Now the only thing that I have problem with is this one, so I need to be 600 or something. So it looks a bit more. Yes, so let's go back to paragraph, put this one also to 700, save it, and I think we're pretty much done with the days thing. Now let's go to the other parts. So what I would like to do now is make a component. So it's function. I'll name it a step rectangle. So I will give it values. I will give it. I'm gonna be okay. So let's see step right props just to make things simpler. Let's make it return a path and close it. So interface, step, rectangle, props. So you got the I, which is the index. Then we've got the value, which is a number. And we've got the color, of course, which is a string, obviously. Now, like, it has to implement SVG props. I don't know if it can implement these, but I think SVG path. The reason I'm doing this, okay, so I can't, so I'm gonna emit type, there's props equals this one and this one. So this should work now. The reason I'm doing this is that I want to pass the props to this path. So I'm gonna say I value color and the props. So the rest of the props are gonna be passed like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pass the props first, so I don't have to think about them. Or the class name. I'm gonna do something like this, so I don't have to think about it too much. I'm gonna say props dot class name, not just an empty string. And then I'm gonna put things here. So the path is gonna have a filling. So let's say fill. Okay, not the fill. Let's say stroke because it's a path. So let's name it just a step. Okay, maybe day line. So this represents one line. This is a day line. This is a day line. Okay, this should make things better. So stroke. Then without the color, and then 500. Should make it better. Now for the path. So we've got our data, and it's gonna be, I think, let's just make it manual. Okay, so start 1 point. So the point I'm going to start at is 2 plus, so we're gonna, the width of this guy is 2. So I'm gonna say 2 plus I times this coefficient. So this path is going to be displaced by I times this coefficient. So this coefficient will make sure that it will be displaced by a day, if I must say. And then this is the X position. Now the Y position is going to be 20. So this is the first point. Now the second point is going to be, so it's the same, 2 plus, yes, because X and Y is going to be the same, this coefficient, and then the Y is going to be now a bit different. So it's going to be 20, which is the bottom value, minus our value, which is going to be from 0 to 10, times 2, so it becomes from 0 to 20, because our viewport is 20 pixels long, so times 2. This should do a good trick. Now, going back to here, I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do read value, map each value. Let's map each value into what? Into a day line. This line has to have key of value, doesn't matter, and it's gonna have value as well. So it's gonna be the V as well. And it's gonna have a color, it's gonna be the color as well. And it's gonna have other props which we might not need. So I'm gonna do I. And then we'll leave the I here. So if I save it here, hopefully the lines will start to appear. That is very good. Now the stroke width, I think 2 will make it better. Yes, that's better. Now let's see, so if I have to say stroke line cap round, say I want them to be round so they don't look squares, they don't look like squares. Yes, so they look pretty much perfect. So I'm gonna apply the same principle. So I'm gonna make 2 of them, but I'm gonna do class name, not class name. I'm gonna change the color of this guy. So this is a trick I will do right now. So the stroke, if I say stroke gray 200 and put a space here, what will happen here is that this will be replaced with gray 200 and a space. So essentially this will be gray and this space 500 will be invalidated. This will happen. There will be two of them now. When I comment this one out, the others will appear. Now what will happen here is that class name again, and then I'm gonna say animated, so day line. I got animated day line. So this animated day line here, so let's say, got the draft text, let's see. Animated day line. So it's gonna be stroke iterate, make it set 0, 0, 100, stroke dash offset, let's make it 100, and see if he disappears. Okay, if I make it 0, will it disappear? It should appear again. Yeah, so the problem is that this props needs the class name needs to be below the props so that it overrides the class name of the props. So when we see again, so animated dayline, so this one will work now. But when I set this one to 100, it's supposed to work now. So if I do this one, and it says stroke dash offset to 0, let's see. So first the page and see what happens. Animated dayline. Yes, so going like this, and go up. Now I need to animate this one, so let's see, transition, this one, 0.3 seconds. Let's so stroke dash offset to 100, make it 110, so it goes better. So it's completely hidden here. So properties are taking some time to load, so yes, make it 1 second, and make this opacities guy 1 second as well. So all that is left is a very little touch here. What I want here is that make this one 0.5. I'm sure 0.5 is good. With the touch stuff we're gonna add, it's gonna be so. I'd like to do, or maybe add one final touch, which is to not make these guys come up together. So everyone will be delayed by 0.1 second times its index. So this one's not going to be delayed at all. This one's going to be delayed a little. This is a little. So this one is going to be delayed almost 1 second. So I'm going to say here 0.5 seconds in the steps graph. So here each mouse. So I'm going to say style. It's transition. They're pretty slow. So I'm going to have to make this one a bit faster. If they save, refresh title or page. So they're very fast. What I want to do is make this 10, make these guys back to 5. Yep, that's what I've been looking for. So this is the effect that I've been looking for. So you've got this. So it's 100% CSS animation. Nothing too fancy.